The community center smelled like fresh paint and hope. Sophia Moretti stood on a ladder, brush in hand, adding the final touches to a mural of children holding hands across a bright blue sky. Her dark hair was pulled back in a messy bun, paint streaks decorating her forearms like temporary tattoos. "Sophia, it's beautiful," Mrs. Chen said from below, her weathered hands clasped together. "The kids are going to love it." Sophia climbed down carefully, stepping back to admire her work. The South Brooklyn Community Center had been her project for 3 years now. A safe space for neighborhood kids, after-school programs, art classes, tutoring. Everything she wished had existed when she was growing up in these same streets. "It's almost done," Sophia said, wiping her hands on her paint-stained jeans. "Just need to finish the border, and we can unveil it next week." Mrs. Chen's smile faded slightly. "Have you heard about the new donation?" Sophia's chest tightened. "What donation?" "Someone anonymous," Mrs. Chen said carefully. $50,000. Enough to keep us running for the next year. Sophia's jaw clenched. She knew exactly what anonymous meant in this neighborhood. "We're sending it back." "Sophia, we don't take blood money," Sophia said firmly. "I don't care how much we need it. This center was built clean, and it stays clean." Mrs. Chen sighed but didn't argue. She had learned years ago that Sophia Moretti was immovable on this particular subject. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. Sophia had her reasons. Good reasons. Reasons that woke her up some nights with her father's voice echoing in her memory, telling her everything would be fine, that the money he owed was just business, that the men in expensive suits were just colleagues. She was 12 when they found him in an alley 3 blocks from their apartment. The official report said it was a mugging. Everyone in the neighborhood knew better. Her father had borrowed money from the wrong people, made promises he couldn't keep, gotten involved with men who operated outside the law, men who smiled at funerals and shook hands over deals that destroyed families. Mafia men. Sophia had spent the last 15 years building a life that had nothing to do with that world. She worked 2 jobs, graphic design during the day, teaching art classes at night. She rented a small apartment above a bakery. She dated occasionally, though never seriously. She kept her circle small and her conscience clear. And she absolutely, categorically, refused to have anything to do with organized crime or the men who ran it. So when Dante Caruso walked into her community center that evening, she knew exactly what he was before he even opened his mouth. The expensive suit that fit too perfectly. The confident posture of a man who never questioned whether a room would make space for him. The 2 men who flanked him at a respectful distance, eyes constantly scanning. The way the neighborhood kids suddenly found reasons to be somewhere else. He stopped in front of her mural, hands in his pockets, studying it with an expression she couldn't read. Sophia set down her paintbrush and crossed her arms. "We're closed." He turned to face her. Dark eyes. Strong jawline, the kind of face that would have been handsome if it didn't belong to exactly the kind of man she despised. "Sophia Moretti." His voice was deep, controlled. "Who's asking?" "Dante Caruso." He didn't offer his hand. "Smart man. I wanted to meet the woman who returned my donation." "Then you've met her," Sophia said flatly. "You can leave now." Something flickered in his eyes. Surprise, maybe. People probably didn't talk to him like that often. "I'm trying to help your community center," he said. "I don't want your help. $50,000 says otherwise." $50,000 in dirty money, Sophia corrected, her voice sharp. Money that came from protection rackets, illegal gambling, extortion. Money that was probably in someone else's pocket last week before your people convinced them to hand it over. His expression didn't change, but she saw his jaw tighten slightly. "You don't know anything about my business," he said quietly. "I know enough," Sophia replied. "I know men like you wrap yourself in expensive suits and charitable donations and call it respectability. But it's still built on fear and violence. So take your money and your guilt and get out of my center." One of his men shifted forward, but Dante raised a hand slightly, stopping him. "This neighborhood needs resources," Dante said, his tone still calm. "Your center serves over 100 kids. You're barely making rent. The roof leaks. The heating system is older than you are. Pride doesn't keep children warm. Neither does blood money," Sophia shot back. These kids deserve better than to grow up thinking men like you are heroes because you throw cash at problems you help create. His eyes narrowed. Men like me. Mafia men, she said clearly, deliberately. Criminals who profit off suffering and then buy themselves clean consciences with charity. I'm not interested in your money, your help, or anything else you're selling. The silence that followed was sharp enough to cut. Dante took a slow step closer. Not threatening, but deliberate. Close enough that she had to tilt her chin up slightly to hold his gaze. You have a lot of anger, he said quietly. I have a lot of experience, Sophia corrected. With men like me? With the damage men like you cause. He studied her face for a long moment, something shifting in his expression. Not anger. Something closer to understanding, and that somehow made it worse. I'm sorry for whatever happened to you, he said, and the gentleness in his voice caught her off guard. I don't want your apology, Sophia said, forcing steel back into her tone. I want you gone. Dante nodded once, slowly. Then he reached into his jacket. Both of his men tensed. Sophia's heart jumped, her body remembering 12-year-old fear even as her mind stayed angry. He pulled out a business card. Just a card. Simple, cream-colored, expensive paper. If you change your mind about the donation, he said, holding it out to her. I won't. If the center needs anything, he continued undeterred. Repairs, supplies, protection from anyone causing trouble. I don't need protection from anyone except men like you. His mouth curved slightly, not quite a smile. You're very determined. You're very persistent, she countered. Persistence is how things get done. So is knowing when you're not wanted. He held her gaze for another beat, then set the card down on the paint-stained table beside her. You're right about one thing, he said. These kids do deserve better. That's why I'm offering. They deserve better than you, Sophia said, each word deliberate. Something flashed in his eyes then. Not anger. She would have preferred anger. This was something else. Something that looked almost like a challenge accepted. We'll see, he said quietly. Then he turned and walked toward the door, his men falling into step behind him. At the threshold, he paused and looked back. Your mural, he said. It's beautiful. You have real talent. Sophia didn't respond. She watched him leave, watched his black SUV pull away from the curb, watched the neighborhood slowly come back to life once his presence was gone. Only then did she let out the breath she'd been holding. Mrs. Chin emerged from the back office, wringing her hands. Sophia, do you know who that was? I know exactly who he was, Sophia said, picking up the business card. She should throw it away, should rip it up, should burn it. Instead, she slipped it into her pocket. He's Dante Caruso, Mrs. Chun continued nervously. His family controls half of South Brooklyn. Protection, gambling, the waterfront. People don't say no to him. I just did. And that worries me, Mrs. Chin said softly. Men like him don't accept rejection well. Sophia turned to face her. I'm not afraid of him. Maybe you should be, Mrs. Chin replied. Not because he'll hurt you, but because men like him don't give up when they want something. And Sophia, the way he looked at you. Don't. Sophia cut her off sharply. Whatever you're thinking, don't. But Mrs. Chen's words echoed in her mind long after she locked up the center and walked the 3 blocks to her apartment. The way he looked at you. Like she was a puzzle he wanted to solve. Like her refusal had been unexpected and therefore interesting. Like she'd just done the one thing guaranteed to capture his attention. Sophia climbed the narrow stairs to her apartment, the smell of fresh bread from the bakery below usually comforting. Tonight it barely registered. She dropped her keys on the small table by the door, kicked off her paint-stained sneakers, and collapsed onto her worn couch. The apartment was tiny, 1 bedroom, a kitchen barely big enough to turn around in, a bathroom with temperamental plumbing. But it was hers. Clean, honest, paid for with her own work. Her phone buzzed. A text from her best friend, Maria. Maria, dinner tomorrow? That type place you love. Sophia, perfect. 7 p.m. Maria, see you there. And you can tell me why you look so tense in your Instagram story. That mural stress? Sophia hadn't even realized she'd posted anything. She checked her account. Yes, a photo of a nearly finished mural from this afternoon, when her biggest worry was getting the shade of blue exactly right. before Dante Caruso walked in and complicated everything. She started to type a response, then stopped. How could she explain that she'd just thrown out $50,000 because it came from a man whose world had destroyed her family? That the same man had looked at her like he found her rejection more interesting than her acceptance would have been? That somewhere in her pocket was a business card she should have thrown away but couldn't quite bring herself to discard? Sophia, just tired. See you tomorrow. She set the phone down and pulled out the card. Cream-colored, elegant font. Just his name, a phone number, nothing else. No company name, no title. He didn't need them. Everyone who mattered already knew who Dante Caruso was. Sophia walked to the kitchen trash can, card in hand. She should throw it away. Right now. No hesitation. Her hand hovered over the bin. This is ridiculous, she muttered to herself. You're not keeping this. You're not calling him. You're not. A knock on her door made her jump. Sophia froze. It was nearly 10 p.m. The bakery closed at 8. Her neighbors were quiet, elderly. No one knocked this late. Another knock. Firmer this time. She approached the door slowly, checking the peephole. A woman stood in the hallway. Mid-20s. Professional clothes, holding a large envelope. Not threatening. Not one of Dante's people, as far as Sophia could tell. Sophia opened the door but kept the chain latched. Yes. Sophia Moretti, the woman asked. Who's asking? The woman smiled politely. I'm just a messenger. This is for you. She held out the envelope. Sophia's instincts screamed not to take it, but curiosity won. She unlatched the chain, accepted the envelope, and the woman walked away before Sophia could ask any questions. Back inside, Sophia stared at the envelope. Expensive paper, her name written in elegant script across the front. No return address. She opened it carefully. Inside was a check. Not for $50,000 this time. $100,000. And a note, in the same elegant handwriting. For the community center. No strings attached. No recognition needed. Just help for kids who deserve better than what this neighborhood usually offers them. If you won't accept it from me personally, accept it from someone who understands what it's like to grow up in streets that don't always protect their children. The money is clean, verified by the accounting firm whose contact information is attached. You can check. You can investigate. But please, let the center have what it needs. D. Sophia's hands trembled slightly as she read it again. The accounting firm was legitimate. She recognized the name. One of the most respected in New York. If they verified the money was clean, it probably was. But that wasn't the point. The point was that Dante Caruso had heard her say no, had watched her throw his generosity back in his face, and instead of walking away or getting angry, he doubled down. That's what men like him did. They didn't accept boundaries. They found ways around them. Sophia should rip up the check. Should send it back. Should make it absolutely clear that she meant what she said. Instead, she found herself reading the note one more time. Someone who understands what it's like to grow up in streets that don't always protect their children. That line bothered her more than all the money, because it suggested that Dante Caruso wasn't just a privileged Mafia prince born into power. It suggested he'd come from somewhere harder, somewhere that maybe looked like her own childhood. It suggested he might actually mean what he said. No, Sophia said out loud to her empty apartment. Absolutely not. You are not falling for this. She set the check and note on her kitchen counter, poured herself a glass of water, and tried to think rationally. The center needed money. That was a fact. The roof did leak. The heating system did break down twice last winter. She'd been stretching every dollar for 3 years, begging for grants that never quite covered everything. $100,000 would change everything. New computers for the kids. Art supplies that weren't donated seconds. Maybe even hire another teacher, so she wasn't doing everything herself. But at what cost? Her phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Her heart rate spiked before she even opened the message. Unknown, you don't have to decide tonight. But please think about the kids, not about me. They deserve this chance. Whatever happened in your past, whatever you think about men like me, don't let it hurt them. That's all I'm asking. Sophia stared at the message, emotions warring in her chest. Anger that he'd gotten her number somehow. Frustration that he was right about the kids deserving better. And something else, something she didn't want to acknowledge, that sounded dangerously like curiosity. She typed back before she could stop herself. Sophia, how did you get my number? 3 dots appeared immediately. He'd been waiting for her to respond. Dante, the same way I found out about your father. Research. I wanted to understand why you reacted the way you did. Her blood went cold. Sophia, stay away from my family history. Dante, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have looked. But it helped me understand. What happened to him wasn't right. And you have every reason to hate what I represent. Sophia, then why are you still texting me? A longer pause this time. Dante, because I think you're wrong about one thing. You assume all Mafia men are the same. That we're all destroyers. But some of us are trying to build something different. Something better than what came before. Sophia, with illegal money and violence. Dante, with power used to protect instead of exploit. I know you don't believe me. I wouldn't believe me either if I were you. But I'm asking for a chance to prove it. Sophia, I'm not interested in Mafia men. Any Mafia men. Especially not ones who think they can charm their way past clear boundaries. Dante, I'm not trying to charm you. Sophia, then what are you doing? Another pause. Longer this time. When his response came, it was simpler than she expected. Dante, honestly, I'm not entirely sure. But I haven't been able to stop thinking about you since you told me to leave your center. That's never happened before. Sophia's breath caught. She should stop responding. Should block the number. Should throw away the check and pretend this entire evening never happened. Instead, she found herself typing. Sophia, that's not my problem. Dante, I know. But maybe it could be our opportunity. Sophia, there is no or anything. Good night, Mr. Caruso. She blocked the number before he could respond, set her phone face down on the counter, and walked to her bedroom. But sleep didn't come easily, because somewhere between the anger and the principle and the absolute certainty that she wanted nothing to do with Dante Caruso, a tiny, traitorous part of her mind kept replaying the way he'd looked at her mural and called it beautiful. The way he'd apologized for whatever happened to her and sounded like he meant it. The way he'd written that note about understanding what it's like to grow up in streets that don't protect their children. And most dangerously of all, the way he'd admitted he couldn't stop thinking about her. You're in trouble, Sophia whispered to herself in the darkness. Because she'd spent 15 years building walls against men exactly like Dante Caruso. And he just found the one crack in her armor she didn't know existed. The part of her that wondered if maybe, possibly, she might be wrong about all Mafia men being exactly the same. Outside her window, 3 stories down, a black SUV idled at the curb for exactly 3 minutes before pulling away. Inside, Dante Caruso sat in the back seat, phone in hand, staring at the screen where Sophia's last message still glowed. There is no or anything. Ryan, his head of security, glanced in the rearview mirror. Boss, she blocked your number. I know. Want me to get you another one? No, Dante said quietly. She made her boundary clear. I'll respect it. Ryan's eyebrows rose slightly. In the 10 years he'd worked for Dante, he'd never heard him back down from anything. So we're done? Ryan asked. Dante looked up at the lit window 3 stories above, imagining Sophia in her small apartment, probably still angry, definitely still beautiful. No, he said finally. We're just getting started. But we do this her way. No pressure. No overwhelm. No Mafia tactics. Then how? Dante smiled slowly. By proving her wrong about everything she thinks she knows about men like me. He pulled away from the curb, leaving Sophia's building behind. But his mind stayed exactly where it had been since the moment she crossed her arms, lifted her chin, and told him she wasn't interested in anything he had to offer. For the first time in his carefully controlled life, Dante Caruso wanted something he couldn't simply take or buy. He wanted Sophia Moretti's trust, and he was willing to completely change his approach to get it. Sophia spent the next 3 days trying to pretend Dante Caruso didn't exist. She threw herself into work, finished the mural at the community center, picked up extra freelance design projects, said yes when Maria dragged her to a yoga class she normally would have skipped. She even went on a coffee date with a guy from her building. Nice, normal, worked in accounting, no criminal empire, exactly the kind of man she should want. The date lasted 45 minutes before she made an excuse about an early morning meeting. "You're distracted," Maria said on Friday night, twirling noodles around her fork. The Thai restaurant was crowded and loud, exactly the kind of place where conversations got lost in background noise. "I'm fine," Sophia lied. "You've checked your phone 6 times since we sat down." "Work stuff." Maria set down her fork. "Sophia, I've known you since high school. You're a terrible liar. What's going on?" Sophia opened her mouth to deflect, then stopped. Maria was her oldest friend. The one person who'd been there after her father died, who'd held her hand at the funeral, who'd helped her navigate the aftermath. "Someone donated money to the center," Sophia said carefully. "A lot of money. That's good, right? It came from Dante Caruso." Maria's fork clattered against her plate. "The Dante Caruso?" "Yes." Sophia cut her off before she could say the word Mafia out loud. Even in a crowded restaurant, some words carried weight. "And you said no?" "Of course I said no." Maria leaned back, studying her. But nothing," Sophia insisted. "I returned the money. I told him I wasn't interested. End of story." "Then why do you look like someone who's very much in the middle of a story?" Sophia took a long sip of her Thai iced tea, buying time. He came back with double the amount. Had it verified as clean money through a legitimate accounting firm. Sent it with a note about understanding what it's like to grow up in streets that don't protect their children. "Oh no," Maria said softly. "What?" "He's not just throwing money at you. He's actually paying attention. That's worse." "There is no worse because there's nothing happening," Sophia said firmly. "I haven't accepted the money. I blocked his number. I'm done." "Have you thrown away the check?" Silence. "Sophia." "It's sitting on my kitchen counter," Sophia admitted, "along with his business card, which I also haven't thrown away. But that doesn't mean anything. It means you're curious." "I'm not." "You are," Maria interrupted gently. "And I get it. Your father's death left a mark. You've spent 15 years hating everything connected to that world. But maybe, just maybe, you're wondering if your anger has been painting everyone with the same brush." "They deserve to be painted with the same brush," Sophia said, but her voice lacked its usual conviction. Maria reached across the table and squeezed her hand. "I'm not telling you to trust him. I'm not even telling you to like him. I'm just saying that maybe you're allowed to be curious without it being a betrayal of your father's memory." Sophia's throat tightened. What if curiosity is exactly what gets me hurt? What if staying closed off is what keeps you from living? Before Sophia could respond, her phone buzzed on the table. Unknown number. Different from the one she'd blocked. Her heart rate spiked as she opened the message. "Unknown, this isn't Dante. It's Ryan, his head of security. There's a situation near your community center. Some guys from a rival family have been asking questions about the building, about you. Dante wants you to know, so you can be careful. He's handling it quietly, but he thought you should be aware." Sophia's blood went cold. "Oh my God! What?" Maria leaned forward, concerned. Sophia showed her the message. "Is this because you rejected him?" Maria asked. "I don't know." Sophia's hands trembled slightly. "Maybe someone found out he tried to donate to the center. Maybe they think it means something." Another message came through. "Ryan, for the record, boss didn't want me to tell you. Said you'd made your boundaries clear, and we should respect them. But I figured you have a right to know if someone's watching your building. Your safety matters more than following orders. Dante doesn't know I'm texting." Sophia stared at the message, emotions churning. Part of her wanted to throw the phone across the restaurant. Part of her felt something uncomfortably close to gratitude. "What are you going to do?" Maria asked quietly. "I don't know," Sophia whispered. Her phone rang. Not a text this time, an actual call. Ryan's number. Sophia answered cautiously. "Hello. Miss Moretti, it's Ryan. I'm 3 blocks from your location. Can you and your friends stay inside the restaurant for the next 20 minutes? Just as a precaution." "What's happening?" "Probably nothing," Ryan said, his tone too controlled to be reassuring. 2 cars have been circling your block and the center's block for the last hour. Could be coincidence. Could be someone conducting surveillance. Dante has people moving into position now to make sure whatever it is stops tonight." "I don't want anyone getting hurt because of me," Sophia said. aware of how her voice shook. "No one's getting hurt," Ryan assured her. "This is just a conversation. Dante's very good at conversations that end problems before they start." "Tell him," Sophia started, then stopped. What could she say? "Thank you for protecting me when I told you to stay away. I appreciate you handling threats I don't even understand." "Tell him I said thank you," she finished quietly. "I will." Ryan paused. "For what it's worth, I've worked for Dante for 10 years. I've seen him handle business deals, territory disputes, family politics. I've never seen him handle anything the way he's handling this situation with you." "What do you mean?" "I mean he's going out of his way to be respectful when respect is usually the last thing people show him. He's following your rules, even though it's harder than just overwhelming you with protection. And he's losing sleep over whether some guys asking questions about a community center might put you in danger." Ryan's voice softened. "Whatever you think about what he does, he's trying to be different for you." Sophia's chest tightened. "That's not fair. Life rarely is, Miss Moretti. Stay inside for 20 minutes. After that, you're clear." He hung up before she could respond. Maria was watching her with concern and something that looked like understanding. "He's protecting you." "I don't want to be protected by someone like him," Sophia said, but the words felt hollow now. "Sophia, someone is asking questions about you. Bad people, from what that message implied. And Dante Caruso is making sure they stop. Whether you want his protection or not, you might need it." Sophia pressed her hands against her face. "This is exactly what I was afraid of. Getting pulled into that world. Having my life touched by violence and territory disputes and—" "But you're not being pulled in," Maria interrupted gently. "You're being kept out. There's a difference." 23 minutes later, Sophia counted. Ryan texted again. "Ryan, situation handled. They won't be back. You're safe to go home. Dante says you don't owe him anything for this, and he's sorry his world touched yours at all." Sophia read the message 3 times. "He's sorry his world touched yours at all." Something about that line broke through her defenses in a way nothing else had. Because it suggested that Dante understood exactly what she feared, exactly what she hated, and he regretted it. Not for himself. For her. "I need to talk to him," Sophia said suddenly. Maria's eyes widened. "Are you sure?" "No," Sophia admitted. "But I can't just pretend this didn't happen. I can't accept his protection and then hide behind my principles." "What are you going to say?" "I have no idea." Sophia pulled out the business card she'd been carrying in her wallet for 3 days. The cream-colored paper was slightly bent now, worn from being touched and almost thrown away a dozen times. She texted the number before she could change her mind. "Sophia, this is Sophia Moretti. I heard about tonight. Can we talk?" 3 dots appeared immediately. "Dante, of course. When and where?" "Your choice." "Sophia, tomorrow. The community center. 10 a.m., just you, no security hovering." "Dante, just me. Thank you for reaching out." "Sophia, don't thank me yet. I have questions and I want honest answers." "Dante, you'll get them. I promise." Sophia set her phone down, her heart racing. "I just agreed to meet with a Mafia boss." "You agreed to meet with a man who protected you," Maria corrected gently. "What happens after that is up to you." That night, Sophia couldn't sleep. She lay in bed staring at her ceiling, thinking about her father. About the promises men in expensive suits had made to him. About how those promises had turned to threats, and then to violence. But she also thought about the note Dante had sent with the check. About Ryan's message, saying Dante hadn't wanted to tell her about the threat because he was respecting her boundaries. About a man who apparently went out of his way to be different. "I'm either making the smartest decision of my life or the stupidest," Sophia whispered to the darkness. Somewhere across Brooklyn, Dante Caruso sat in his home office, staring at Sophia's message on his phone screen. Ryan stood in the doorway. The situation tonight was handled cleanly. No violence, just a very clear conversation about boundaries. "Good," Dante said absently, still looking at his phone. "She texted you. She wants to talk." "That's progress." "That's terrifying," Dante corrected. He set the phone down and looked at Ryan. "I've negotiated with rival families, with corrupt politicians, with people who wanted me dead. None of that scared me as much as the idea of disappointing her tomorrow. Ryan smiled slightly. You're indeed boss. I know. Dante ran a hand through his hair. She asked for honest answers. What if the honest answers just prove her right about everything she thinks about men like me? Then you lose her before you ever really had her, Ryan said. But at least you'll lose her with the truth instead of a lie. Dante nodded slowly. No security tomorrow. No backup. No safety net. Are you sure that's wise? No, Dante admitted. But it's what she asked for. And I'm done making her feel overwhelmed. After Ryan left, Dante sat in the quiet of his office, thinking about a woman with paint-stained hands and fire in her eyes. A woman who'd been brave enough to tell him no when most people wouldn't dare. A woman who deserved better than what his world usually offered. Tomorrow, he said quietly to himself. Tomorrow I prove to her that not all of us are the same. If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. The next morning, Sophia arrived at the community center 15 minutes early. She changed her outfit 3 times, finally settling on jeans and a simple black sweater, nothing that looked like she was trying too hard. She unlocked the front door and walked through the quiet space. Sunlight streamed through the windows, illuminating her finished mural. The children holding hands across the blue sky looked hopeful, innocent, untouched by the complicated world adults created. That's what I'm trying to protect, Sophia reminded herself. Not just my own principles, their future. At exactly 10 a.m., she heard a car pull up outside. Through the window, she watched Dante step out of a simple black sedan. No SUV today. No driver. Just him, wearing dark jeans and a gray Henley instead of an expensive suit. He looked younger this way. More human. Less like the powerful figure who commanded rooms with his presence. Sophia opened the door before he could knock. Good morning, he said quietly. Come in. He stepped inside, and she noticed the way his eyes immediately went to her mural. You finished it. 2 days ago. It's even better than I remembered. He turned to face her. Thank you for agreeing to meet me. Sophia crossed her arms, a defensive posture she couldn't quite shake. I have questions. I have answers. Honest ones. I gave you my word, Dante said. I don't break it lightly. She gestured to the worn couch near the windows. They sat on opposite ends, a careful distance between them. Last night, Sophia started. What really happened? Dante took a slow breath. 2 men from the Rossetti family have been watching your building and this center. They noticed that I'd visited you, and they wanted to know why. In our world, attention from me means something. They were trying to figure out if you were leverage, a business contact, or something else. And what did you tell them? That you're off limits, he said simply. That this building is off limits. That if anyone from any family approaches you or the center with questions, threats, or offers, they answer to me personally. Sophia's chest tightened. You put a target on your back for me. I put a shield around you, he corrected gently. There's a difference. Why? You barely know me. He held her gaze. Because from the moment you told me to leave your center, you've been the most honest person I've encountered in years. You looked at me and saw past the power, past the money, past the fear everyone else shows me. You saw what I actually am and you weren't impressed. You're a criminal, Sophia said, but there was less heat in it than before. Yes, he admitted without hesitation. I break laws. I operate outside the system. I do things that would send me to prison if the right people had the right evidence. He leaned forward slightly. But I also keep this neighborhood safer than the police do. I make sure the old woman 3 blocks from here doesn't get evicted when her rent goes up. I fund programs that keep kids out of gangs. And I handle men who hurt women in ways the law never could. That doesn't make it right. I'm not asking you to think it's right, Dante said. I'm asking you to see that it's more complicated than good versus evil. I'm asking you to understand that some of us are trying to use power differently than the generations before us did. Sophia studied his face. You keep saying some of us. You mean you're different from your father? His jaw tightened. My father ruled through fear and violence. He hurt people for sport, not just business. He turned our name into something people whispered about in terror. Dante's voice grew quieter. I spent my childhood watching him destroy lives and call it respect. When I took over 8 years ago, I made a promise to myself, no more unnecessary violence. No more terrorizing people who can't fight back. No more treating this neighborhood like our personal kingdom instead of our home. But you still break the law. Yes, he said. I'm not pretending to be a saint, Sophia. I'm telling you I'm trying to be better than my father. Better than the legacy I inherited. It's not perfect. It's probably not even good enough. But it's different. Sophia felt something shift in her chest. She wanted to cling to her anger, her principles, her certainty. But the honest pain in his voice made it harder. What happened to your father? She asked quietly. He died 2 years ago, Dante said. Heart attack. Quick. Painless. Better than he deserved. He looked down at his hands. I don't mourn him. I mourn what he could have been and chose not to be. I understand that, Sophia heard herself say. Dante looked up, surprise in his dark eyes. My father wasn't a bad man, Sophia continued, the words harder than she expected. He was just a desperate one. He borrowed money from the wrong people because we needed it. Because my mother was sick and the medical bills were crushing us. He thought he could work it off, pay it back, make it right. Her voice cracked slightly. They killed him anyway. I'm sorry, Dante said, and the sincerity in his voice undid something in her. I spent 15 years hating everyone connected to that world, Sophia said. Everyone who profits from desperation and calls it business. And then you walk into my center offering money I desperately need, and I have to decide if my principles are worth more than these kids' futures. Your principles should be worth more, Dante said gently. That's what makes you different. That's what makes you extraordinary. Sophia's breath caught. Don't. I'm not trying to charm you, he interrupted. I'm stating a fact. You have every reason to hate me. And you still gave me this meeting. You still listened. That takes more strength than most people have. Silence fell between them, heavy with things neither of them knew how to say. Finally, Sophia spoke. The check. The $100,000. You said it was clean money. It is. I own several legitimate businesses. Restaurants, construction companies, real estate. The money came from those holdings. Fully taxed, completely legal. The accounting firm verified it because I knew you'd need proof. And there are really no strings attached. None, he said. If you take the money and never speak to me again, the money is still yours. If you tell me to leave Brooklyn entirely, I'll consider it. If you need anything else and don't want it coming from me, I'll make sure it comes from someone you trust. His eyes held hers. I'm not trying to buy you, Sophia. I'm trying to help something you built because it deserves to exist. Sophia felt tears prick her eyes and blinked them back angrily. Why does this have to be so complicated? Because you're not simple, Dante said. Because this situation isn't simple. Because the world doesn't fit into neat categories of good and evil no matter how much we want it to. She stood abruptly, needing space, needing air. She walked to her mural, staring up at the painted children. Dante didn't follow. He stayed on the couch, giving her room to think. If I accept the money, Sophia said quietly, her back still to him. Does that mean I accept you? It means you accept help for something that matters, he replied. What happens between us is separate. That's your choice entirely. She turned to face him. You keep saying that. Your choice. My decision. Like you're not trying to influence it. I'm absolutely trying to influence it, Dante admitted, a small smile touching his lips. But only with honesty and respect. Not with pressure or overwhelming force. You deserve agency, Sophia. Even if it means you choose to walk away from me. Something in her chest cracked open. She'd spent so long building walls against men like him that she'd forgotten what it felt like when someone actually listened. When someone actually respected a boundary instead of treating it like a challenge to overcome. I need time, she said. Take all the time you need. And I need you to understand something, Sophia continued, her voice stronger now. If there's any possibility of an us, you have to be honest with me. About everything. I can't live in the dark about what you do. I can't pretend your world doesn't exist while secretly benefiting from it. Dante stood slowly. I can do that. But Sophia, some of what I do, some of the things you'd need to know, they're not pretty. They're not easy to hear. I don't need pretty, she said. I need real. He crossed the space between them, stopping a few feet away. Close enough to talk quietly, far enough to maintain respect. Then here's something real, he said. From the moment you pushed me away in this center, I haven't been able to think about anything else. Not business, not family obligations, not territory disputes. Just you. The way you look at your mural like it's the most important thing you've ever created. The way you stand up for what you believe, and even when it costs you. The way you made me want to be better than I am. Sophia's heart thundered in her chest. Dante, I'm not asking you to fall for me, he continued gently. I'm not even asking you to like me. I'm just asking you to let me prove that your first impression might not be the whole story. Let me show you who I'm trying to be, not just who my family name says I should be. She looked up at him, at the honest vulnerability in his eyes. This close, she could see tiny details. A small scar above his left eyebrow, the way his jaw tensed slightly like he was bracing for rejection, the genuine hope mixed with fear in his expression. One dinner, Sophia heard herself say. His eyes widened slightly. What? One dinner, she repeated. Somewhere public, somewhere normal. No expensive restaurants, no private rooms. Just a regular date where we talk like regular people. A slow smile spread across his face, genuine and warm. I can do that. And I'm accepting the check, Sophia continued. For the center. Not for me, not for us. For them. She gestured to the mural. They deserve better than leaking roofs and broken heating. They do, Dante agreed softly. But this doesn't mean I'm okay with everything you do, Sophia warned. This doesn't mean I've changed my mind about organized crime or violence or... I know, he interrupted gently. You're allowed to keep your principles while giving me a chance. They're not mutually exclusive. Sophia took a deep breath. Okay, one dinner. And then we see. And then we see, he echoed. They stood there for a moment, the morning light streaming through the windows, the painted children watching over them. I should go, Dante said finally. Let you process this. Let you change your mind if you need to. I'm not going to change my mind, Sophia said, surprising herself with how certain she sounded. Good. He pulled out his phone. Can I have your number? The real way this time, not through research. She almost laughed. You already have it. I deleted it, he admitted. When you blocked me. I figured if you ever wanted to talk to me again, it should be because you chose to share it, not because I took it. Something warm bloomed in Sophia's chest. She recited her number and watched him save it with just her first name. Tomorrow night, he asked. For dinner. Tomorrow night, she agreed. Text me the address. Somewhere normal. I know just the place. He walked toward the door, then paused and looked back. Sophia. Yes. Thank you, he said quietly. For the chance. I won't waste it. After he left, Sophia sank onto the couch, her mind spinning. She just agreed to have dinner with Dante Caruso. She just accepted $100,000 from him. She just opened a door she spent 15 years keeping bolted shut. I'm either brave or insane, she muttered. Her phone buzzed. A text from Dante. Dante, that Italian place on 5th Street. Family-owned, been there for 40 years, makes the best carbonara in Brooklyn. 7 p.m. tomorrow. No pressure if you change your mind. Sophia smiled despite herself. Sophia, I'll be there. She looked up at her mural one more time. The children holding hands, the bright blue sky, the hope she painted into every brushstroke. For them, she reminded herself. I'm doing this for them. But deep down, in a place she wasn't quite ready to acknowledge, Sophia knew it wasn't just about the children anymore. It was about the possibility that she'd been wrong. That not all Mafia men were the same. That maybe, just maybe, Dante Caruso was exactly who he claimed to be, someone trying to be better than his legacy. And that terrified her more than anything else. Sophia changed her outfit 4 times before settling on a simple navy dress and leather jacket. Nothing too fancy, nothing that screamed first date with a Mafia boss. Just herself, honest and unadorned. Maria had called 3 times that afternoon, each conversation a mixture of excitement and concern. Text me every hour, Maria had insisted. And if anything feels wrong, I'm 2 blocks away with an excuse to pull you out. It's just dinner, Sophia had said. With Dante Caruso. There's no such thing as just dinner with him. Now, standing outside the Italian restaurant on 5th Street, Sophia understood what Maria meant. The place was exactly what Dante had described. Family-owned, warm lighting spilling onto the sidewalk, the smell of garlic and fresh bread drifting through the air. Normal. Comfortable. But her heart was racing like this was anything but normal. She checked her phone. 6:58 p.m. She was early. The door opened and Dante stepped out, clearly having been watching for her. He wore dark jeans and a simple button-down shirt. No tie, no suit jacket. He looked almost nervous. "Hi," he said softly. "Hi. You came. I said I would." A smile tugged at his lips. "I know, but I wasn't sure you wouldn't change your mind." "I almost did," Sophia admitted. "About 6 times. What made you stay committed?" She looked up at him, at the genuine question in his eyes. "Curiosity. And the fact that you deleted my number when I asked you to. That meant something." He held the door open for her. "Shall we?" The restaurant was exactly as promised, red checkered tablecloths, photos of Italian countryside on the walls, families laughing over shared plates of pasta. The owner, an older woman with kind eyes and flour-dusted hands, greeted Dante with a warm hug. "Dante Caro. And who is this beautiful young woman?" "Mrs. Lombardi, this is Sophia," Dante said, and Sophia noticed he didn't add any explanation of who she was to him. "Welcome, welcome." Mrs. Lombardi led them to a quiet corner table. "I'll bring you the good wine, yes? And the carbonara, just like your mother used to make." After she bustled away, Sophia raised an eyebrow. "Your mother used to make carbonara?" Dante's expression grew distant. "She died when I was 8. But yes, she cooked. It was one of the few times my father let her be herself, instead of just his wife." "I'm sorry," Sophia said softly. "It was a long time ago." He poured water into both their glasses. "But I remember her in kitchens like this one. Places where she could smile without permission." Sophia felt something shift in her understanding of him. "You grew up in that world. The violence, the control." "I did," he admitted. "And I spent my whole childhood promising myself I'd be different when it was my turn." He looked at her. "I'm still trying to keep that promise." Mrs. Lombardi returned with wine and warm bread, giving them a moment to settle. When she left, Sophia took a sip of wine for courage. "Tell me something true," she said. "Something that scares you to say out loud." Dante considered this, really thought about it. "I'm terrified that no matter how hard I try to be different, I'm still my father's son. That the violence and control are coded into my DNA. That one day I'll wake up and realize I've become exactly what I swore I'd never be." The raw honesty in his voice caught her off guard. "And what keeps you from becoming that?" "People like you," he said simply. "People who look at me and see the potential for something better instead of just accepting what I am. You challenge me just by existing, Sophia. By having principles that don't bend. By being exactly who you are without apology." "I'm not some symbol of morality," Sophia said. "I'm just a woman trying to make sense of a complicated world." "That's exactly what makes you extraordinary." Before Sophia could respond, Mrs. Lombardi arrived with their food. Perfect carbonara, just as promised, steam rising from the plates. They ate slowly, conversation flowing more easily than Sophia expected. She told him about her mother, who'd survived cancer only to die in a car accident 3 years later. He told her about taking over the family business at 26, and how half his father's men had tried to challenge his authority in the first year. "How did you handle it?" Sophia asked. "Carefully," Dante said. "I couldn't be weak, or they'd tear me apart. But I also couldn't be my father, or I'd lose the part of myself worth keeping. So I made examples when I had to, but I also made changes. Started paying people fairly instead of skimming everything. Stopped targeting innocent businesses for protection money. Started actually protecting the neighborhood instead of just exploiting it. And people accepted that. Some did, some left, some I had to remove." His jaw tightened. "I'm not going to lie and say it was bloodless, but I tried to make every decision count for something more than just power." Sophia set down her fork. "Can I ask you something difficult?" "Anything." "The men who killed my father. Do you know who they were?" Dante's expression grew serious. "I looked into it after I learned about your history. They worked for the Castellano family. They're gone now, not because of me," he added quickly, seeing her expression. They got greedy, tried to expand into territory that wasn't theirs, started a war they couldn't win. They were eliminated by their own people 5 years ago. So there's no justice for my father. Justice isn't always possible in my world, Dante said quietly. But I can tell you that the men who hurt him didn't die peacefully. If that matters. Sophia wasn't sure if it did. She wasn't sure what she felt. Relief, anger, emptiness, all of it mixed together. I wish I could change what happened to your father, Dante continued. I wish I could undo every wrong thing that's ever been done in the name of organized crime. But I can't. All I can do is try to make sure fewer of those wrongs happen going forward. By being a benevolent criminal. Sophia's tone was sharper than she intended. By being a criminal with a conscience, he corrected gently. It's not perfect, but it's something. They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of the conversation settling between them. I want to show you something, Dante said finally. After dinner. If you're willing. Show me what? Who I really am. Not just the man sitting across from you in a restaurant. The whole complicated truth. Sophia's pulse quickened. Is this where you take me to some warehouse full of illegal activity? No, he said, a slight smile touching his lips. This is where I show you what I do with the money everyone assumes I'm using for violence and excess. An hour later, they stood outside a building Sophia had passed 100 times without really seeing, a converted warehouse in a neighborhood that had been slowly gentrifying for years. Dante unlocked the front door and led her inside. The space was enormous, divided into sections. Computer labs with brand-new equipment. Art studios with supplies stacked neatly on shelves. A music room with instruments in various states of repair. Study areas with bookshelves and comfortable chairs. What is this? Sophia whispered. A youth program, Dante said. For kids who age out of foster care, kids whose families can't afford college, kids who need a place to learn skills that might keep them out of gangs. He walked through the space, running his hand along a desk. It's been open for 3 years. Completely free. No one knows I fund it. Why not? Because the moment my name is attached to something, people make assumptions. They think it's a front for illegal activity or a way to recruit. So I keep it anonymous. Let the kids benefit without the stigma of knowing where the money comes from. Sophia moved through the space, taking in the details. Graduation photos on the walls. Thank you cards from students. A banner that read, "Your future starts here." How many kids come through here? About 60 currently, Dante said. We've had over 200 since we opened. Some have gone to college. Some have started businesses. Some work for me, legitimately, in the restaurants, the construction companies, the real estate holdings. Jobs with paychecks and taxes and futures. Sophia turned to face him, emotions churning. Why are you showing me this? Because I need you to understand that I'm not just destruction, he said quietly. I need you to see that some of us are trying to build something better than what we inherited, even if we have to use questionable money to do it. This doesn't erase the other things you do, Sophia said, but her voice was softer now. I know. I'm not asking for absolution. I'm asking for understanding. He stepped closer. I'm asking you to see me as complicated instead of just criminal. Sophia looked at the photos on the wall, young faces full of hope and determination. Kids who looked like she had at that age. Kids who deserved chances they might not otherwise get. This is why you understood about my community center, she said. Yes, because I know what it's like to need a place that believes in you when the rest of the world has written you off. Before Sophia could respond, her phone buzzed. Then Dante's, both at the same time. They pulled out their phones and read messages from Ryan. Ryan to both. Problem at Sophia's community center. Someone broke in. Police are on the way, but you should both know. Sophia's blood went cold. The center. I'm driving, Dante said immediately, already moving toward the door. They drove in tense silence, Dante's jaw tight, Sophia's heart racing. When they pulled up to the community center, police cars were already there, lights flashing blue and red across her mural. The front door was shattered. Glass littered the sidewalk. Sophia jumped out of the car before Dante could stop her, running toward the entrance. A police officer caught her arm. Ma'am, you can't. This is my center, Sophia said desperately. I need to see. The officer's expression softened. Are you Sophia Moretti? Yes. I'm Officer Chin. We got an anonymous call about a break-in. Whoever did this was looking for something specific. They went straight for your office. Sophia's stomach dropped. Dante appeared at her side, his presence immediately commanding attention. How bad is it? He asked, his voice controlled but dangerous. Officer Chin studied Dante for a long moment. Recognition flickered in his eyes. He clearly knew exactly who Dante was. But he answered professionally. They destroyed the office, pulled out drawers, scattered papers, but nothing seems to be missing. Almost like they were looking for something specific and didn't find it. The check, Sophia whispered, looking at Dante. The one you gave me. It's in my office. Did they find it? Dante asked. I don't know. I need to see. Officer Chin led them inside. The main room, her beautiful main room with the finished mural, was untouched. But her office looked like a tornado had torn through it. Papers everywhere, drawers upturned, her computer monitor smashed. Sophia picked her way through the debris, searching. There, her desk drawer forced open, but it's still here, she said, pulling out the envelope with Dante's check. They didn't find it. Or they weren't looking for it, Dante said quietly. Everyone turned to look at him. What do you mean? Officer Chin asked. Dante's expression was dark. This wasn't about theft. This was a message. What kind of message? Sophia demanded. Dante looked at her, and she saw anger mixed with guilt in his eyes. Someone's trying to scare you away from me, and they're willing to destroy what you've built to do it. Officer Chin cleared his throat. Mr. Caruso, if you know something about who did this. I don't, Dante interrupted. But I will. By tomorrow. That sounds like a threat. It's a promise, Dante corrected, his voice hard. This center serves children. Whoever did this crossed a line they can't uncross. Sophia felt rage building in her chest. Not at Dante. At whoever had violated her space, destroyed her sanctuary, threatened the one thing she'd built that was entirely hers. I want to help find them, she said. Sophia, Dante started. No, she cut him off sharply. This is my center. My work. They came after me, and I'm not going to hide while you handle it. If we're doing this, if there's any chance of an us, then we do it together. Dante stared at her, surprise and something that looked like pride in his expression. Officer Chin looked between them. I'm going to pretend I didn't hear any of that. But Miss Moretti, I'd advise letting the police handle this investigation. Of course, Sophia said, her voice suddenly sweet. That's exactly what we'll do. After the police left to canvass the neighborhood, Sophia turned to Dante. Who do you think did this? I don't know yet, he admitted. But I have suspicions. The Rossetti family wasn't happy about my warning last week. This could be their response. Or someone from my own organization who doesn't like the changes I've been making. Who sees my interest in you as a weakness to exploit. Sophia felt a chill run down her spine. You have enemies in your own family? I have people who preferred my father's way of doing things, Dante said carefully. People who think I'm too soft, too concerned with morality. They've been waiting for an excuse to challenge me. And I'm that excuse. You're not an excuse. You're a target they're using to get to me. His hands clenched into fists. And I will end whoever did this. Sophia grabbed his arm. Not with violence. Not in a way that proves them right about you. They broke into your center. And we'll find them and handle them the right way, Sophia insisted. You told me you're trying to be different. Prove it. Find them, expose them, but don't become your father over this. Dante looked down at where her hand gripped his arm, then up at her face. You're asking me to control rage. I've spent my entire life learning how to weaponize. I'm asking you to control it because you're better than that rage, Sophia said softly. Because the man who funds a youth program and deletes phone numbers when asked is stronger than the man who responds to every threat with violence. His jaw worked as he fought with himself. Finally, he nodded. Okay, we do this your way. But Sophia, if they come after you directly, if they threaten your safety, all bets are off. Fair enough. Ryan appeared in the doorway. Boss, I've got some information. They moved outside where they could talk more privately. Ryan pulled up security footage on his phone. This is from the bodega across the street, Ryan said. Look at the timestamp, 20 minutes before the police got the call. The footage showed a man in dark clothes and a hood approaching the community center. But it wasn't the man that made Sophia's blood freeze. It was the way he moved. Confident, unhurried, like he had every right to be there. "I know that walk," Dante said, his voice dangerous. "That's Marco Benedetti." "Who's Marco Benedetti?" Sophia asked. "My father's old lieutenant," Dante replied. "He's been pushing for a return to the old ways since the day I took over. I've kept him around because removing him would have caused a war I couldn't afford. But this," he looked at the footage again, "this is him making a move. Against you or against me?" Sophia asked. "Both," Ryan said. "He's showing the organization that caring about someone outside the family makes you vulnerable. And he's warning you that staying close to Dante will cost you everything you've built." Sophia felt anger crystallize into something hard and sharp. "Then he doesn't know me very well." Dante looked at her sharply. "What are you thinking?" "I'm thinking that I'm done letting men like him decide what I'm allowed to care about," Sophia said. "I'm thinking that if he wants to threaten my center, my work, my life, he's going to have to face me directly." "Absolutely not," Dante said immediately. "Marco is dangerous." "So am I," Sophia interrupted. "Just in different ways." She pulled out her phone and made a call before Dante could stop her. "Officer Chin, this is Sophia Moretti. I have information about the break-in. I'd like to file a formal report and press charges. Yes, I know who did it. And I have evidence." Dante grabbed her arm gently. "Sophia, what are you doing?" "I'm handling this the legal way," she said. "You told me you've been trying to do things differently. Let me help you. We give the police everything, the footage, Marco's identity, a sworn statement. We let the legal system handle him." "Marco won't go down easily," Ryan warned. "Then we make the case airtight," Sophia said. "And Dante, you publicly distance yourself from him. Cut him out of the organization. Show everyone that the old ways are done." Dante stared at her, conflict warring in his expression. "If I cut him out, the people loyal to him might revolt." "Let them," Sophia said firmly. "You said you're trying to build something different. This is your chance. Choose the future over the past. Choose change over tradition. Choose." She stopped, the words catching in her throat. "Choose what?" Dante asked softly. "Choose me," Sophia finished quietly. "Choose the possibility of us over the safety of them." The words hung in the air between them. Ryan cleared his throat. "I'm going to give you two a moment." He walked back to his car, leaving them alone in the shadow of Sophia's broken center. Dante stepped closer, his hands finding hers. "If I do this, if I cut out Marco and anyone loyal to him, it will get violent. There will be retaliation. And you'll be in the middle of it." "I'm already in the middle of it," Sophia said. "The question is whether we face it together, or whether you push me away to keep me safe." "I want to keep you safe more than I want my next breath," Dante said, his voice rough with emotion. "Then keep me close," Sophia replied. "Let me be part of this. Not as someone you protect, but as someone who stands with you." He closed his eyes for a moment, and when he opened them, there was a decision made. "Okay, we do this together. But Sophia, I need you to promise me something." "What?" "If it gets too dangerous, if I tell you to run, you don't argue. You don't try to be brave. You just go somewhere safe and let me handle it." Sophia considered this. "I promise I'll listen when you tell me something is truly dangerous. But I'm not promising to run. I'm done running from things that scare me." A small smile touched his lips despite everything. "You're going to be the death of me." "Or the making of you," Sophia countered. He pulled her closer, resting his forehead against hers. "How did this happen? How did I go from running an organization to falling for a woman who challenges every decision I make?" "You walked into my community center," Sophia said. "And I told you no. And instead of punishing me for it, you respected it. That's how." "Best mistake I ever made," he murmured. "Asking me to accept your donation?" "No," he said. "Falling for you the moment you pushed me away." Sophia's breath caught. "Dante, I know it's fast," he said. "I know we barely know each other. I know you're not ready to hear this. But I need to say it once right now in case tomorrow goes badly and I don't get another chance." He cupped her face gently. "I'm falling in love with you, Sophia Moretti. With your fire and your principles and the way you make me want to be better than I am." Tears pricked Sophia's eyes. "You can't say things like that." "Why not?" "Because I'm trying very hard not to fall for a mafia boss," she said, her voice breaking slightly. "And you're making it really difficult." "Then stop trying," he whispered. "Fall with me. We'll figure out the rest as we go." Sophia looked up at him, at the honest vulnerability in his eyes, the hope mixed with fear, the man who was trying so hard to be different than his legacy. "One condition," she said. "Anything. We do this right. We build something real, not something hidden. I'm not your secret or your weakness. I'm your partner. In everything." "Partner," he repeated, like he was testing the word. "I like that. Good." She stood on her toes and kissed him. Soft, brief, a promise more than a passion. "Now let's go take down Marco Benedetti." The next 48 hours moved like a carefully choreographed battle. Sophia filed formal charges with mountains of evidence. Dante publicly removed Marco from his organization, making it clear that the old ways were finished. Marco's supporters grumbled, but Dante's most trusted people, including Ryan, stood firm. Marco tried to retaliate by spreading rumors about Sophia, about the center, about Dante going soft. But the community rallied. The kids whose lives had been changed by Sophia's program spoke up. The families who'd been helped by Dante's quiet generosity came forward. The narrative shifted. Instead of a mafia boss and an innocent woman, it became a story about a neighborhood standing together against those who would destroy rather than build. Marco was arrested on breaking and entering charges, with additional evidence emerging about money laundering and extortion. He'd been skimming from Dante's operations for years, thinking he was untouchable because of his history with the family. He wasn't. 3 months later, Sophia stood in her repaired community center, watching the kids create art on new easels purchased with Dante's donation. The check had been accepted, verified, and put to use. The roof was fixed, the heating system replaced. 2 new teachers had been hired, and Sophia's office had a new security system, courtesy of Ryan's expertise. Dante walked in carrying coffee and pastries from the bakery below her apartment. It had become their routine. He'd stop by in the mornings before she opened, they'd share breakfast, and he'd tell her about his day while she told him about hers. "Mrs. Chen is convinced we're already married," Sophia said, accepting the coffee with a smile. "Should we prove her right?" Dante asked casually. Sophia nearly dropped the cup. "What?" He grinned, clearly enjoying her reaction. "I'm joking. Mostly. Ask me again in 6 months," he said, "when you've had time to be absolutely sure this is what you want." "And if I'm sure now?" Sophia heard herself ask. Dante set down his coffee and crossed to her, hands framing her face gently. "Then I'll ask you properly, with a ring and a plan and a promise that I'll spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of you." "You're already worthy," Sophia whispered. "I'm getting there," he corrected. "With your help." She kissed him, soft and slow, tasting coffee and possibility. When they pulled apart, Dante rested his forehead against hers. "I love you. I love you too," Sophia said, the words easier than she expected. "Even though you're a criminal." "Reformed criminal," he corrected with a smile. "Reforming," she amended. "It's a process I'm committed to," he promised. "For you. For us. For the future we're building." Sophia looked around her center, at the kids laughing, at the art blooming on walls, at the hope she'd built and he'd helped protect. "The future looks pretty good from here," she said softly. "It's just getting started," Dante replied. And standing there in the center she'd built with her own hands, protected by a man who'd changed his whole approach to power just to prove her wrong about who he could be, Sophia believed him. She'd spent 15 years hating everything connected to organized crime. She'd built walls and principles and an entire life designed to keep that world at arm's length. But then Dante Caruso had walked into her community center, respected her no when she said it, and slowly proved that not all mafia men were the same. That some of them could change, could choose different, could fall in love with a woman who challenged them and build something real instead of something violent. "Thank you," she whispered. "For what?" "For making me wrong," Sophia said. "About you. About us. About the possibility that complicated doesn't always mean impossible." Dante kissed her forehead, soft and reverent. Thank you for giving me the chance to prove it. 6 months later, Dante proposed exactly as he'd promised. Properly, with a ring, with a plan, with a promise to spend his life earning her trust. Sophia said yes without hesitation. Because somewhere between rejecting his donation and accepting his love, she'd learned that real strength wasn't about maintaining walls. It was about knowing when to open doors. And Dante Caruso had proven himself worthy of walking through hers. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you love this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.